This is Patrick Green for PE 578. I'm responding to week 2 on understanding yourself, your athletes, students, and clients. So question number 1 is, how does your personality promote your self-confidence? And by taking that test of your Big 5, it's stated that I'm extremely outgoing and social and energetic, and I scored pretty high on the self-confidence scores, as well as I am very well organized and can be relied upon. And I also agree with the scores, and I also believe that I do think highly of myself and my abilities of myself. I like to take on challenges and verbalize out loud my confidence, make that known to myself and others. And I usually also exude that through just body language, posture, words, appearance, and how that could be portrayed to others. And my personality likes to succeed and be very competitive, as well as it likes to. My personality expresses self-confidence often, and it has to be. I have to check that to make sure that I can back up what I say and do. And I tend to live by extremes. I either tend to be very high or very low. And that moves on to the next question. How does your personality deter your self-confidence? And two things that I noticed from the Big 5 is that I find it easy to express irritation with others, and that's not good, which means it shows that I can be not have high self-confidence. But I also tend to, when I'm not self-confident, I tend to shy away and become quiet when I'm not confident. And I tend to avoid situations when I think I cannot be successful to the standards I believe that are necessary. And I sometimes avoid big risks to not receive the big reward and play it safe. I like to have my ducks in a row. And if I don't have my ducks in a row, I usually are frozen. And I don't have sometimes enough confidence in myself to make big decisions at times, and sometimes I don't market myself as well as I should, or put myself out there as much as I should, because I do think highly of myself, but I'm not advantageous of that as well as I should be, and I tend to downplay myself at times as well. So again, highs and lows, extremes. Question number 3 asks, identify several reasons why an understanding of a participant or client personality would be useful to you as a professional. And I said that it helps with relatability. If you're as a coach and as a teacher and as a trainer, it's important for me to be able to relate concepts to who I'm working with and how they can understand with what I'm saying, so that can increase performance and self-confidence, as well as I need to know how they will respond either to praise or criticism, and how will that produce a result that I want them to get. And it's just extremely important to know how to communicate effectively. Each person receives communication differently, and I need to know how to communicate to them, and how that would produce a good result. The book says that we need to be informed consumers and communicate with the athletes and be knowledgeable about mental strategies. And I think it's important for me to learn throughout my career, as well as the next couple of weeks, just what those mental strategies are. Question number 4, what components of your personality do you find to be relatively stable traits? I tend to take things very seriously and be responsible. Highly focused, hard worker, type A personality. I tend to lean towards the perfectionist side. And my wife said I'm pretty consistent across the board. And what components of your personality do you find to change according to your particular circumstance? And I had to ask family here on this, and sometimes I don't want to admit it, but as a Christian, sometimes I do lack hope, and doubt and faith sometimes, and that leads to low positivity and sometimes not a clear perspective. which is why I need to always be in the Word, and I need to have fellowship with others, so I could be lifted up, because I can be my own worst critic and beat myself down, and that is not good. What are your thoughts when you consider that God gives you the strength to do all things? That comes from Philippians chapter 4, and I think God gives us strength to be able to accomplish all things that He wants us to accomplish. So if He wants us to do something, He will make a way, no matter what. But I don't think that verse says that we can do all things that we want to do. I think that verse relates to contentment and the ability to handle all situations. Paul talks about having plenty or being within need, and he was content in either situation, and he was able to accomplish what God wanted him to accomplish, despite whether he had a good circumstance or a bad circumstance. So I think that's what that verse states right there. And last question: do you agree that having confidence not in yourself will actually give you more freedom and peace? I believe that it's important not have too much confidence in yourself, but to have more confidence in the Lord. And I believe that if we think too highly of ourselves, we tend to become prideful, and then God doesn't like that. God opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. So I do think it's important that we put our confidence in Christ and what He's already done for us, not what we do for ourselves. And He wants us to not think of less of ourselves, but think of ourselves less often, and think of others. And that's what Jesus says. If we want to be great, we need to serve. And Philippians also says, put the goals and needs of others above our own. And I think that's what actually gives us freedom and peace, more so than anything. And knowing that God is sovereign and is in control, and that's where more freedom and peace does come from. And God's the only one that can give that freedom and peace. And too many times having confidence in ourselves doesn't lead to freedom or peace, even though it might look like that on the outside, but on the inside it might have turmoil. So that's my post. Sorry it's long, but there was a lot of questions.